Hello guys and welcome to SteveKnows. It's a bit of a shorter news video this week. It's been all Quest 3 reviews, mixed reality upgrades, and I've covered that to absolute death. But I do have some Quest 3 news about its future, which if true, could be freaking insane. So there could be a Quest 3 for $200. Is your new 120GB Quest 3 about to be replaced? Plus some amazing features for the Quest 3 that are now available. Hopefully developers take advantage of them, because it's something I complained about in my mixed reality review. So I think that's enough chin wagging. I've got three kind of cool, interesting topics about the Quest 3 and its future. Let's get started. I want to touch on a teardown video of the Quest 3 that highlights a few issues with VR going forward. So the channel iFixit, they took apart the Quest 3, which was pretty interesting. If you wanted to check out the full video, I will link it down below in the description. But the part about this that kind of got me thinking, the future of VR could be interesting, is that the majority of the space within the Quest 3 was actually taken up by its battery. So from the reviews, you would know that the Quest 3 gets around 2 hours of gameplay time. The same as the Quest 2, in some cases a little less. However, the Quest 3 is actually using a larger battery, and it has to power a better chipset, additional cameras, a depth sensor, a brighter display. But this is a new gen headset. So how is virtual reality supposed to become smaller and more viable when things that are used to power it grow larger and more demanding? Perhaps the Quest 4, the battery needs to be made external, an external component like the Apple Vision Pro, or the Pico 4 where it's part of the head strap. So bye those elasticated head straps that they like to throw at us for cheap, unless there's some new revolutionary battery technology that comes out soon, and if it did, it would then be super expensive anyway, so would that even be viable on what is considered a consumer-friendly VR headset? They also found that the Quest 3's depth sensor fits perfectly into the sensory slot of the Quest Pro. And another fun fact is that the ribbon connection also works and connects to the Quest Pro as well. So someone could do a depth sensor transplant and see how that works out, because someone may want the depth sensor plus the face and eye tracking. Is that possible? Next, Meta have released an experimental API for the Quest 3 on something that I actually complained about in my Quest 3 review video. So it's so crazy to see this just a week later. What about if I move the chair? No, look, it has to remain in its spot, so no real-time adjustment, sadly. Currently, you can scan your room using the depth sensor, and it creates this mesh map of your space. Virtual objects can then hide behind these meshed objects because it has an understanding of your environment, statically though, but it can then be occluded. However, if you make changes to that space, the headset can understand this change, and the occlusion does not occur in the room's new state. And this is what I moaned about. I said that I don't have dynamic occlusion, and it's a little frustrating. But then today, dynamic occlusion is actually possible for developers to implement, where things in the scene can change, but the headset can be made aware of it, and objects can be occluded in real time. This is a huge jump for mixed reality content that will allow you to move objects, perhaps even reveal assets, and add interesting ways for you to interact with the world now. So in the video examples that they gave, it's not actually perfect. We do see a feathered edge where the depth sensor is picking up and processing the space, and this is actually the good implementation, because there are two ways you can go about doing this, and they've named them hard or soft occlusion. But there are pros and cons with them. So the hard uses less processing power, fantastic, therefore less battery, but of course it clearly looks way worse. The soft option, although not perfect, uses more GPU resources, but of course it does look better. This real-time depth analysis can also be used to add depth-based effects. Upload gave an example of using something like fog. So if you're moving towards a wall, perhaps the fog could get much thicker, as saying that you shouldn't really be in this play space. Stop, turn around, go back. A bit like Call of Duty Zombies in transit. When you move out of the map, it gets really dense. If any games have actually already implemented this, I'd love to try it out. Please let me know down below. I've got a room booked out at the community center to run around like a nutcase with mixed reality experiences, and this would be so cool to try. So another article was popped up talking about the Quest Lite. This had been spoken about way back at the start of this year, or at least rumoured about, but this time this is on a Chinese website, and there seems to be a little bit more information on the product. Let's get into it. So the website states that it's going to be 1,500 won, so Meta's debut of an affordable headset to compete with Apple's Vision Pro, which is going to have optional controllers. So the headset would come with no remotes, hand tracking only, just like the Vision Pro. The Quest Lite is what they're apparently calling it, or the Quest 3 Lite, which is going to come in at around $200, which would just be crazy cheap. I am skeptical on this one because of some of the features of this cheap headset. So they expect this to drop early 2024 to compete with Apple's $3,500 price tagged headset, which also has no remotes. The Quest Lite will use Fresnel lenses and black and white pass-through. But it will contain the XR2 Gen 2 chipset, with rumours of a throttled processor to keep the disparity between this and the more premium Quest 3. Meta is also expected to stop releasing or producing the Quest 2 once the Lite is live. There's going to be a 64GB model for $200, or a 128GB model for $300, or a 256 for $400. They also expect to cancel the 120GB storage model of the Quest 3 and release a 256GB model only. They've done this before. It's very possible that they do this. There's also been rumours for years that Meta wanted to release a controllerless headset, so I can see this to possibly be true. The removal of the Quest 2 for the Quest 3 Lite also makes sense. People can then feel they're keeping up with the current generation. The new chipset also helps developers pump out better games, so the enthusiasts still remain excited about using the Quest 3, and others also want to join in. But the part that gets me here is black and white pass-through and Fresnel lenses. I just really, I don't know if that's because I'm in the VR bubble, but that sounds crazy to me. Is that really competition with Apple's headset? Because it sounds like Apple's headset is just going to be in a completely different league to the Quest headset. But they may be trying to tap into a new market, trying to get new people in, making it super cheap, because people who haven't got into VR before, spending $500 on a new headset just isn't appealing. $200, perhaps you can dip your toe in and see how it is. They would still be blown away. Those who haven't tried VR before, if you're trying the Quest 2, you're still going to be completely blown away by the experience. Just the quality of the black and white pass-through. Surely they're not going to do that, or at least they're going to improve upon it and find a cheaper option for pass-through that's not going to be in color, but doesn't look as terrible. And then because it's using the Fresnel lenses, it can't have the same form factor as the Quest 3. So is it going to look completely different? It's like it's going to be a Quest 2.5. It's going to be Quest 2 and Quest 3, but somewhere in the middle. Basically still going to be really chunky. I suspect cameras that are going to be facing down just like the Quest 3 as well, so it has much better hand tracking capabilities. Will the Quest 2 controllers work with it? That would be an absolute game changer for those worried about upgrading. They could just get the really cheap version with the worst specs, but still be able to play their VR experiences for a great price. Will they do that though? I'm not so sure. I can see this happening, because Meta are trying to get new people in and improve retention, try and repeat what the Quest 2 did during lockdown, but hearing the specs and what it's going to do, I'm really skeptical, and I'm not sure if that's because I'm in the VR bubble. Let me know what you guys think down below. It's a pretty interesting thread, so I'd like to talk about this one. So that's the little update for this week, guys. Stay tuned, because I do have a massive room booked out, a large room for some mixed reality content, because British homes can't accommodate those to the fullest. But please let me know your thoughts. I'm still baffled. Have a great week. Subscribe. Hopefully I'll see you next time. Happy gaming, guys. Good day!